you left behind an old 401k at a previous place of employment? If so, what should you do with it and when should you move it? Hi, I'm Kristen Oakley, and to answer that question today is Michael Mare. He is the Executive Vice President of Nova Financial. Now, here's the reality. A lot of folks leave behind a previous workplace retirement plan. For you, it might be a 401k, a 403b, TSP, 457, things of that nature. Michael, how often do you find when folks come in to meet with you that they have left an old account behind?
Oh, quite frequently. One of the things we often do early in our planning and relationship is plan for consolidation. And it's not unusual to have a client say, well, I've got, a 401k from 3 different previous jobs. And then of course the conversation is, well, gosh, let's create that into a plan so that it's actually working towards a well thought out goal.
And why is that so crucial to engage in that consolidation process?
Well, with my clients, I have a relationship. We have a goal. We have a joint goal, and we have a plan that we're working towards. Really, in very few 401k plans, is there anyone out there that's working with your portfolio? It's there. It may be in a good model portfolio, but it's not being optimized. It's not being positioned with you in mind. The analogies I often use for how I build portfolios, I have a couple, but I'll use my meal one here.
Okay.
So we have an entree, we have sauces, and we have seasoning. An entree is really a pretty basic, well-rounded portfolio. And frankly, anybody who's decent in our business can do that pretty well. And a lot of 401ks can do that pretty well. Just a well-balanced portfolio, that's easy to do. The magic comes in the sauce and the seasoning, right? Meals get better then, right?
Yes.
There's no such thing as sauce and seasoning in 401k plans, right? It's just there. But when you bring it over into your primary accounts and you're working with somebody who knows you and knows what we're trying to accomplish, it becomes part of a bigger plan, then we are able to work with those funds to optimize. And what I mean by, let me give you an example of sauce and seasoning. Sauce would be, for example, tactical sector work, so that we're actually responding to things happening in the world at any given time. A well-balanced portfolio might have thousands of companies, but there might be times when, we ought to be holding more energy, or we ought to be holding more financials or more consumer goods. And we can be tactical in the sauce, right? And seasoning is fun too, because then we can look at actual companies that say, all right, now we're gonna hold these companies because they are companies we feel are gonna do exceptionally well. And the other sort of bonus to the seasoning is that I'm able to incorporate clients' personal passions and interests. And a lot of people have personal passions that they want reflected in their portfolio. Well, 401ks can't do any of that kind of stuff.
So obviously more customization is
much
available,
more customization.
Right? Yeah.
And when people ask the question, well, when should I move from a 401k? My answer is as soon as you can. As soon as you separate service, you want to get that into a place where somebody is shepherding it in the right direction and actually keeping their eyes on it and making sure it's positioned and working towards your personal goals.
And that gives you more choice over your hard-earned money, more control, more options. It can also potentially lower your fees, correct?
Right. People, it's funny, people think 401ks are free. Of course they're not. But there's more layers of fees in 401ks than there are when you deal with your financial advisor. Typically, when you deal with a financial advisor like me or anyone at my firm, we have our management fee and we have an asset fee. And I use a lot of ETFs and individual stocks and bonds, so that fee tends to be very, very low, much lower than in 401ks. But in 401ks, you have multiple layers. You got asset fees, you got manager fees, and you got third-party administrators or administration fees. So people are paying a lot more for their 401ks than they realize a lot of the time.
Yes, well, clearly it's a lot to pay attention to. We know it can be really overwhelming when you leave a place of employment, but don't leave that hard-earned money behind. Make sure it's working hard for you. And if this is something you have questions about, or you'd like to explore what it would look like to consolidate your old accounts, we encourage you to reach out to the team of Nova Financial for your your very own complimentary financial plan. To do so, simply visit novafinancialcolorado.com or simply call the number on your screen below.